star player of the Indiana Fever and the face of the league, Caitlin Clark. What do you think? Of course she didn't. She never does, and this is why we don't believe she is the coach for Caitlin Clark. The way that she just backed them, benching her, not passing her the ball, all of this stuff, it is ridiculous. We got to get into it.
Look, there's this unbreakable rule that governs every major sports organization on the planet. When you've got something worth billions, you protect it at all costs. You're running a massive enterprise, and suddenly you're handed the most game-changing talent your industry has ever produced. Your job becomes crystal clear. Maximize that talent's potential. You build the perfect environment around them, remove every obstacle in their path, and when competitors or bitter veterans try to tear them down, you shut that nonsense down immediately. But what happens when the person you hire specifically to protect your superstar decides to join the attack instead? What happens when the head coach of the Indiana Fever, someone whose entire career and bank account depends on Caitlin Clark's success, stands before cameras worldwide and actually supports a system built to hold her back? Right now, we're watching one of the most shocking betrayals of leadership in modern basketball history. Stephanie White just became the Fever's new head coach and serves as an assistant for Team USA. What she just pulled off is complete leadership failure. She sat there watching Caitlin Clark get sidelined, buried behind washed-up players, and completely ignored by her own teammates. Instead of standing up for the most talented point guard of this generation, Stephanie White decided to kiss up to the veteran establishment and their fragile egos. If you want to see just how badly this political game is rigging things against Caitlin Clark, just look at how absolutely furious Fever fans are getting after watching their new coach play politics.
Just like as a coach going.
I think the biggest thing is being transparent, and I thought Sue set the tone in the fall, early and helping them understand that it's different in USA basketball. Everybody has to sacrifice for the greater good. Everybody has to sacrifice for the USA across your jersey. There are very few players who get to do what they do in the WNBA and USA basketball. You're surrounded by the...
Did Stephanie White step up for her franchise player? Not even close. You can hear the pure frustration and panic from that fan. This person is speaking for every single Fever supporter on earth. They all watched their star get completely disrespected during Game 2 of those qualifying rounds. They watched Angel Reese try to run point and throw the ball away repeatedly. They watched veterans actively refuse to get Clark the ball on fast breaks. They watched the most explosive offensive talent in basketball get pushed into a corner role just so the old players could feed their egos. Then they watched Stephanie White, who's supposed to be building an entire offensive system around Clark back in Indianapolis, completely endorse this sabotage. White didn't call out the selfishness. She didn't demand better ball movement. She didn't defend her player at all. Instead, she pulled out the most toxic management trick in the book. She demanded sacrifice.
How she's played so far and the ability to get to coach her here.
I thought she's been great. I think she really set the tone with her facilitating in Game 1. I mean, she's one of the greatest passers that the game has ever seen, and now she's got so many weapons, on the floor and finding her way and seeing what each player, what their strengths are, how to put them in positions to be successful. I thought she shot the ball well in Game 1.
Everyone needs to sacrifice for the greater good. Everyone needs to sacrifice for that USA jersey you're wearing. Playing for Team USA requires sacrifice. This is exactly what weak managers say when they're scared of making their veteran employees angry. When a company brings in a brilliant young talent who immediately outworks everyone in the building, bad managers don't promote that person. They tell them to sacrifice. They demand they slow down, share credit they earned, and tone down their performance so the older, less productive workers don't feel threatened by their own irrelevance. Stephanie White just told the international media that Caitlin Clark needs to sacrifice her offensive impact for the greater good. But what greater good is she talking about exactly? Is it better to run slow, boring offense? Is it better to let rebounders pretend they can handle point guard duties? Is it better to bench the most efficient offensive weapon alive while veterans chuck up contested shots? Absolutely not. The only greater good being served here is protecting the political power structure of Team USA's veteran hierarchy. The contradiction in Stephanie White's message is mind-blowing, because seconds after demanding sacrifice, she completely exposed who Caitlin Clark really is.
good. I thought she was good on the defensive end of the floor as well. Game two was a little bit different in the way that Puerto Rico came out with their pressure and being a little bit more disruptive. And we've got to be able to play different styles. She's going to have to be able to see different things. And at the same time, I think she showed why she's elite. And she adjusts. She played with great pace. I thought she looked really good. Playing a back.
She's one of the greatest passers that the game has ever seen. Stop right there and think about how insane that contradiction is. Stephanie White, who helps coach Team USA, just admitted on international television that Caitlin Clark ranks among the greatest passers in basketball history. If you're coaching basketball and you have one of the greatest passers ever created, basic logic says you put that ball in her hands every single play. You don't ask the greatest passer alive to sacrifice her touches. You make everyone else sacrifice their selfish plays to get open for her passes. If you have Tom Brady on your team, you don't make him hand the ball off 40 times so your backup running back feels important. You let him throw. By admitting Clark's incredible passing genius while supporting a system that keeps the ball away from her and forces her to play without it, Stephanie White just confessed to deliberate sabotage. She's admitting the coaching staff knows exactly how special Clark is, but they're choosing not to use her because it might upset the veterans. When reporters pressed her about the obvious offensive problems in Game 2 where Clark got frozen out and Team USA's offense looked terrible, White tried to shift blame away from the toxic team chemistry. She blamed the other team instead.
And attention to detail and the difference between winning gold medals and positioning ourselves not just in this tournament but as we think forward to the World Cup. We want to grow. We've got a lot of new faces, we've got a lot of young players, and it takes a different level, even a different level than it takes in the WNBA when you're playing against the best players in the world on a nightly basis. And we want.
Game 2 was different because Puerto Rico came out with pressure and disrupted us more. She played with great pace and I thought she looked really good. This is classic manager deflection. Puerto Rico played their hearts out and deserves total respect for that effort. But let's be real about the talent gap on that court. Team USA has a roster built from the highest paid, most elite professional athletes on the planet. They're facing a team with a fraction of those resources. Puerto Rico's zone pressure didn't break Team USA's offense. Team USA broke their own offense. Things got stuck because coaches refused to give the ball to the one player who can destroy zone defense in seconds. When teams play zone, they're exposed to elite vision and quick cross-court passes. Caitlin Clark has been tearing apart zone defenses her entire career. Because veterans wouldn't pass her the ball and coaches wouldn't enforce discipline, Team USA got stuck grinding out slow possessions, playing right into Puerto Rico's defensive plan. Stephanie White understands this perfectly. She's an extremely smart basketball mind, but she can't say it publicly because that would mean calling out the veterans' selfish play. It would mean officially declaring Caitlin Clark as the team's real leader. She's completely unwilling to cross that political boundary. This whole situation signals a terrifying disaster heading toward the Indiana Fever franchise. Fever fans spent the entire offseason celebrating Christy Sides getting fired, desperate for a head coach who would finally figure out how to unleash Caitlin Clark's full potential. They believed Stephanie White was their answer. They thought she was the modern offense-focused leader who would create a fast-paced, super efficient system around number 22. But watching White operate internationally, the truth is starting to hit them. It takes a different level, even beyond what it takes in the WNBA when you're facing the world's best players every night, and we want to keep seeing positive growth. Listen to how condescending that sounds. She's talking about positive growth and different levels like she's managing untested rookies instead of a generational talent who just broke every offensive record in league history during her debut professional season. Stephanie White is proving right now that she's completely aligned with the old guard mentality. She's a product of the veteran establishment. She believes in hierarchy. She believes in paying dues, and she's totally willing to watch her own franchise player get frozen out, marginalized, and disrespected by jealous teammates on the world stage if it keeps her in good standing with Team USA executives. The WNBA is currently heading toward a potentially catastrophic season-ending lockout because militant veterans refuse to accept the reality of the Caitlin Clark economy. And while the league implodes in New York, the head coach of the Indiana Fever is in Puerto Rico completely failing to protect the only asset that truly matters. The Indiana Fever front office, corporate sponsors, and millions of fans watching this disaster have to confront a very dark, very troubling question. If Stephanie White is willing to let Caitlin Clark get politically suppressed and sabotaged by teammates on Team USA without saying one word in her defense. What exactly will she do when the WNBA season starts up again? Will she demand that Clark sacrifice for Indianapolis veterans? Will she run the same toxic isolation system that almost destroyed the team last season? The honeymoon is officially finished. Corporate reality just set in. Caitlin Clark is fighting battles on two fronts. She's fighting a militant union desperately trying to stop her momentum, and she's fighting a coaching establishment completely intimidated by her influence. I need to hear from you. Jump into the comments right now. Is Stephanie White committing complete leadership malpractice by demanding Caitlin Clark sacrifice her game for aging veterans? Does her refusal to defend Clark against Team USA's selfish, toxic play prove she's the wrong coach for the Indiana Fever? If the WNBA forces a lockout and cancels the 2026 season, will the veteran establishment finally understand they just destroyed their own financial future out of pure jealousy? Share your thoughts below. If you want the unfiltered, aggressive truth about the ruthless business of sports, the high-stakes power games in corporate boardrooms, and the stories mainstream sports media is too scared to touch, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this video everywhere. We don't do sanitized public relations stories here. We reveal the raw, brutal reality hiding behind the scenes. Stay sharp. I'll see you in the next one.